All right. Hello, everyone. Is anyone out there? Is anyone out there? I think this is the longest, or should I say, this is the latest I've ever done a Michigan football live stream. But the game wrapped up, 11:45, close to midnight on the East Coast. So, is anyone out there? Is anyone watching me? Let me know who's there in the chat. If anybody, I don't intend to be on this stream long. It is 1 o'clock. It is 1:03 here on the East Coast in Western New York. So I could have either done the stream tonight or first thing in the morning before church, because I do go to church sometimes. So I decided to knock it out tonight. So the Michigan Wolverines defeated the Iowa Hawkeyes 26-0 to three-peat as Big Ten champs and to punch their ticket to the 2023-24 college football playoff. So Michigan will be one of the four teams selected based upon Georgia losing to Alabama. It's not quite clear what the entire lineup will be. I think there's a pretty good chance Michigan and Washington will be in there, but who will the other two teams be? Peace to you, Maize and Blue Mike. Three-peat. The Wolverines have three-peated in Indianapolis. Okay, let me play the intro, and then I am going to get to my few points here. I only have a few points, and then I'm going to wrap this up because it is 1:05 here on the East Coast in Western New York. So let's go Blue. All right, everyone. There's the ad. Let's see. Yep, there's me. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Big Discussions 76 Sports. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. I got my doctor title from the University of Michigan. So I am a proud alum and I am a proud supporter of our football team, who is now the three-time Big Ten champions. So the Wolverines just defeated the Iowa Hawkeyes 26-0 out in Indianapolis. I went to the game last year, so I didn't go this year, but I have fond memories of being in Lucas Oil Stadium. It is a beautiful, cavernous indoor venue. But if you ever have the chance to go, you should go. And I was telling my brother tonight about the experience of going to the Big Ten Championship Game and seeing it's like a big party. It's not like being in the big house, which is a party itself, but afterwards, once the game is over, all the confetti comes down and you get to see them set up the stage. And then Joel Klatt interviews the winning coach and the winning team, and you see all the pageantry. And then if you stay long enough, you see them break the stage down and take everything away. So anyway, so the Wolverines won tonight, and they have clinched their third straight Big Ten title, and they have punched their ticket to the college football playoff. Ashwin, thank you for being here. Normally you catch the replay, but it looks like you might be working the graveyard shift tonight. He says, congratulations to Michigan, a hard-fought victory, Big Ten champions again. Yeah, so it's not over. It's not over. There's one more game, and there is another potential game after that, assuming the Wolverines do what they haven't done the previous 2 years and they are able to win their semifinal game. We are going to find out who the opponent is tomorrow, but it seems like whoever that opponent is, it's not going to be Ohio State, the world famous Ohio State Buckeyes. It's not going to be them based upon how things shook out today. Okay, guys, I'm not going to waste time. And I wrote down notes for the game, but I'm not going to go over all these notes like I normally do. The game was, I'm listening. He says, congratulations, Dr. Goodbar. Thank you. I am listening. Please smash that like button if you haven't. And also, please consider subscribing to the channel. Help me push this channel to 1,300. I'm not going to belabor this. The prediction was that the Wolverines would win by 3 touchdowns. They did that. But I think as a Michigan football fan, and I'm sure the rest of you are thinking about this as well, is how did they win by those 3 touchdowns tonight? So the final score was 26-zip. There were 2 touchdowns in there, both by Blake Corum, I believe, and then the rest were field goals. So the game was predicted. Iowa is kind of like if you think about the old prize fights with Muhammad Ali, Iowa is always like Ken Norton Jr. No, not Ken Norton Jr., Ken Norton Sr. And Ken Norton Sr., back when Muhammad Ali was fighting, he had a reputation for making the fights ugly, right? So if you were going to fight Ken Norton Sr., you were going to be in a bit of a grudge match. It wasn't going to be a pretty fight, and it was going to be ugly. And this Iowa team, for whatever reason, that's how they play their opponents as well. They're very disciplined on defense. This year, they didn't have much of an offense, and they really try to slow the game down and muddy the games up. And so they tend not to be pretty. And that was pretty much the expectations going in to this game. If you looked at the statistics, both Michigan and Iowa ranked high in terms of defense in the Big Ten, but there was a huge separation between the Michigan offense and the Iowa offense. And it was thought going into the game that separation would be the difference in the game. But that turned out not to be the case because Michigan didn't get much done offensively. There wasn't a lot of separation between the Michigan skill position players. JJ was throwing out to Cornelius Johnson at the sideline for those comeback routes. He was throwing quite a few of those. He looked for Colston Loveland. There were some drops. There was a near interception in there for JJ. There was a pass that AJ Barner should have caught, but the Iowa defender knocked it loose. There were several sacks on JJ McCarthy, right? And there were numerous runs that were stopped behind the line of scrimmage. So our running game never really got on track tonight, except when Blake Corum and the offense got the ball with good field position close to the Iowa goal line. And that's pretty much how the game went. Iowa didn't have much on offense. So even though the Michigan offense seemed to be, even though Iowa seemed to defend our offense pretty well, there was never that feeling for me that Iowa would embark on a scoring drive of any meaning of their own. So I kind of felt like if Michigan this is going to be a battle of attrition, a road of attrition. If Michigan can just throw some points on the board and grind the clock out, they will get the victory, and that's what they did. So Antoine says, what's going on, Antoine? Thank you for being here. It looks like a few people are up tonight. He says, JJ played stupid. He said, JJ played stupid tonight against Iowa's cover 4 and you don't have anything deep. You have to check it down. But JJ refused to do it. Well, Antoine, he was looking for Colston Loveland. He was throwing those comeback routes near the sideline to Cornelius Johnson, but he didn't. Yeah, that was pretty much it. So I agree. He should have stayed more disciplined and checked the ball down more. But Iowa was getting back there quite a bit as well, and they were sacking him, and the running game wasn't getting much going as well. And late in the game, I was thinking, okay, so the Wolverines went out to Iowa City in 2022 and had success against this Hawkeye defense. What was the difference? Well, Ronnie Bell was on that team. Both backs were healthy in that game, but the offensive line was playing more effective last season. And Olu Oluwatimi was our center last season, and the offensive line was more effective last season, and it wasn't as banged up as it was. So apparently Drake Nugent was banged up in this game. He wasn't 100%. We know that we lost Zach Zinter last week, and so Carson Barnhart had to shift inside to guard, and Trente Jones was playing right tackle. And so I think that instability in the offensive line had something to do with what we saw today, other than the fact that Iowa plays disciplined, hard-nosed defense. So I think all of that played into this. Antoine, you said JJ played stupid tonight. That has something to do with what happened as well. And also during the game, I went over to Twitter X to just kind of poke around and see what was going on. John Bacon said JJ wasn't 100% healthy tonight. So, and I think also maybe the emotional letdown from, maybe there might have been a bit of an emotional letdown from last week's victory over Ohio State. So maybe the team just wanted to come in and get this victory and get out and get their seeding for the playoffs. So I think there were a lot of things happening tonight. And it was an ugly game. It wasn't a pretty game, especially for the defense showed up. Jesse Minter's defense showed up and did what it was supposed to do. And Jay Harbaugh's special teams, they played well tonight. James Turner and Samaj Morgan, they played well tonight. But the offense pretty much laid an egg. But there were some injuries over there. Apparently JJ still hasn't healed up. And the offensive line, we know, was banged up. And there were some uncharacteristic drops from players like Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland has, for the most part, been a pretty reliable target most of the season. But for that defense that Iowa was playing, in addition to the injuries, I think the offense just in general tonight was out of sync. So the two plays of the game, Antoine, let me read your comments here. So Antoine says, JJ played stupid tonight against Iowa's cover 4. You don't have anything deep. You have to check it down, but JJ refused to do it. He probably got a little impatient as well. He's used to being able to sling the ball around and put it into windows as he sees fit. But they were sacking him, they were pressuring him, and he probably got a little bit impatient back there. Antoine says, the offensive line played like doo-doo. If you ask me, you got to take Barnhart out, move Trente to guard, and put Henderson and Hinton at tackle. Okay, so Antoine wants Carson Barnhart out of there altogether. Antoine says, Barnhart can't open nothing up, but I got stupid Michigan fans saying that Trente is a tackle. He's a damn guard. Yeah, Trente got a holding call or two out there tonight. I think Cornelius caught a ball, or I think Colston Loveland caught a ball, and that play had to come back because Trente got a holding call. So maybe, Antoine, maybe you're right. Maybe Trente shouldn't be out there at tackle. Maybe he should be playing guard. Antoine says JJ had plenty of time to check it down. He didn't because he was trying to play hero ball. Cover for his designed cover 4 is designed to give you nothing deep. It's pretty much a prevent defense. Okay. I've been arguing for Trente to go to guard ever since Zach got hurt. Antoine says Barhart can't open up nothing in the middle. Why they won't put Trente at guard, I don't know. He's a molar. Why do you think Blake was getting tore up? Yeah, Blake was getting through, getting a few yards, and then he was getting smashed by that Iowa defense. And it really reminded me of the TCU game last year where Donovan was getting through just a little bit, and then he was getting smacked once he went through there. But also, the other question is, why didn't Michigan try to run the ball out to the perimeter? I wrote that down as well and said, why aren't they trying any perimeter runs? When JJ, those few times when JJ scrambled, he was able to get some positive yardage when he ran outside. So I think that's something that they should have done a little bit more of tonight. But the way this game, again, this Iowa team, they didn't have an offense. So pretty much all Michigan had to do, it didn't look good to us, but pretty much all Michigan had to do was throw some points on the board and then get Iowa off the field on offense, and then just try to keep putting points on the board and run that clock down, which is pretty much what they did. The two big plays of the game that allowed Michigan to get its touchdowns were the Samaj Morgan punt return. Samaj Morgan could have returned that, but he admitted that he ran out of gas as he was running up the sidelines there. So that put Michigan in position for that first Blake Corum score. And then the second big play, which was a bit peculiar, was that the fumble on the Iowa quarterback, the Deacon Hill fumble, where Mikey Sainristil got back there and knocked the ball loose. It looked like it could have been a forward pass, but the Big Ten officials called it as a fumble, and then Michigan got the ball within the 10-yard line, and then Blake scored another touchdown. So those were the two big plays of the game, and they were huge because our offense wasn't really moving the ball. And then the other scores came from James Turner. So there were two Blake Corum touchdowns tonight, and then the rest were James Turner field goals. And then Iowa themselves, they weren't able to generate any points themselves. So it was a very much a war of attrition. And at that point, I think all of us were just looking to get the W and then get out of there with the win, with no more injuries. And so the team would have a month to heal before facing their next opponent. Antoine says, okay, so this is a response to my comment about trying to run outside. Antoine says, you can't run to the outside against Iowa with cover 4. The defense is always facing you. They never turned their back. Antoine, that's a good point because they tried Michigan tried one of those reverses or one of those jet sweeps, and Iowa was ready for it. So that's a good point. For that defense they were playing, yeah, there weren't, yeah, you had to approach that defense a certain way. Antoine says, Samaj, he says, shout out to our defense and Mikey and Morgan. Yeah, so Mike Sainristil ended up getting the MVP of the game. It definitely wasn't going to go to anyone on the offensive side based upon the amount of production or lack thereof on that side of the ball. And so, guys, that was the game. It was an ugly game. It wasn't a spectacular game. Offensively, the defense did what it needed to do, but we didn't get any really any explosive plays from the offense tonight. Let me take a quick look at the statistics, then I'll wrap this stream up. So, and then I'll talk about the end of the game, because everyone was looking to see whether or not Tony Petitti would end up having to hand Jim Harbaugh the trophy. And I think Jim bailed Tony Petitti out a little bit at the end of the game. So let's see. So JJ McCarthy went 22 for 30 for 147 yards and no touchdowns. And he almost threw a pick there in the third quarter. So it was a bit of a he wanted to do more, but he ended up managing the game. Blake Corum carried the ball 16 times for 52 yards and 2 touchdowns. His longest run was 6 yards. Donovan Edwards carried the ball 4 times for 28 yards. His longest run was 17 yards. Khalil Mullings carried the ball 3 times for 15 yards. When Khalil Mullings got in there in that third quarter, I thought he got good yardage, and I thought they should have run him some more, but they took him out right after that he picked up those 6 yards. Let's see. Alex Orji carried the ball twice for 9 yards. Cornelius carried it once for no gain. JJ got sacked a couple of times for negative yardage. Cornelius Johnson caught 6 balls for 64 yards. His long was 14 yards. Colston Loveland caught 3 balls for 22 yards. His longest was 10. Donovan carried the ball 4 times. Donovan caught the ball 4 times for 19 yards. Roman Wilson only had 1 reception, and that was for 14 yards. A.J. Barner had 1 for 13 yards. There was 1 that he dropped near the goal line late in the game. Blake Corum caught 3 balls for 10 yards. Let's see. Chris Jenkins picked up one fumble. Josh Wallace picked up 1. Kenneth Grant recovered 1. So Michigan recovered 3 fumbles from Iowa. Let's see how many times Mike Mikey got 1 sack on Deacon Hill. Braden McGregor got 1. Jalen Harrell got 1. Derek Moore got 1. Those guys also got several tackles for losses. The tackling was pretty good in this game by the defense. There were no interceptions. Samaj Morgan had the big 87-yard punt return. James Turner went 4 for 4 for field goals for 12 points. And yeah, Tommy Doman punted the ball 6 times for 254 yards. So I think that shows how little our offense got done tonight. All of those Tommy Doman punts there. Iowa, they didn't get much done on offense. Deacon Hill went 18 for 32 for 120 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Their leading receiver was LaShawn Williams. Their leading rusher was LaShawn Williams, who had 9 carries for 25 yards. Their leading receiver was this Addison Ostrenga kid, 7 receptions for 50 yards. And then they fumbled. Deacon Hill fumbled. He lost the ball twice. Jay-Z and Patterson lost the ball once. Michigan recovered those. This Yaya Black sacked JJ once. This Dante Craig sacked JJ once. This Logan Lee sacked JJ McCarthy once. Max Llewellyn sacked JJ once. So they were able to get pressure on JJ McCarthy.
This holiday season, give the gift of a Disney cruise and discover where magic meets the sea.
And I think that was part of what happened tonight. Please smash that like button if you haven't. Please keep letting me know what you think there in the chat.
And the Salukis reclaim the lead.
Yeah, I'm going to go over the team statistics now. It is 1:27 here on the East Coast. Let's see. Antoine says, how you like the SEC bias trying to pull off? Yeah, they're trying to get 2 of their teams in. Antoine says, I think this Alabama, think about this. Alabama, who was ranked number 8 today, they're talking about them going all the way up to number 4 and kicking Florida State out with an undefeated record. Yeah, that's going to be interesting tomorrow. JSE says Michigan D wins this year's Natty. Well, they're going to need some offense. Depending upon who they play, whoever they play, once they get in there, they're going to need some offense. So hopefully this month rest will be good enough to get everybody healthy. But then they're going to have to, hopefully they'll all be in rhythm on January 1st. Antoine said, here's another point. Why do you think Michigan never got to number 1 as they deserve? They purposely put Georgia at number 1 just in case they lost to Bama so they can drop them down to 4. JSE says no teams have the LSU, OSU, or Georgia offense of recent years. This year is a defensive national title. Please smash that like button if you haven't. All right. Michigan gained 12 first downs. It sure didn't feel like it. Iowa gained 7. Michigan was 3 for 15 on third down efficiency. They were 1 for 1 on fourth down efficiency. Michigan generated 213 total yards. Iowa generated 155 total yards. Michigan generated 147 passing yards. Iowa generated 120. Let's see. Michigan was 22 for 30 in terms of completions and attempts. Michigan averaged 5 yards per pass. They're going to need to do more in the playoff. Michigan generated 66 rushing yards. They're going to need to do more in the playoff. That was on 34 rushing attempts. Their average yards per rush was 2 yards per rush. Michigan had 3 penalties for 25 yards, and Michigan held the ball for 36 minutes and 32 seconds. Iowa held the ball for 23 minutes and 28 seconds. So those were the statistics. I'm going to read your comments, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Antoine, we're in agreement here. He says they should have ran Mullings more. You need him to plow through. They should have also used Orgy more. We're definitely going to need him against tougher teams. Yeah, Orgy got in there for just a little bit. They probably could have let him run some more, but they just let him in there for just a little bit like they did in the Ohio State game. JSE says, yes, Mullings needs more carries. Orgy 2. It's like when Michigan gets a successful player, they quickly take them out. Why? JSE says Loveland looked sick. He was off tonight. They will all be good by the playoffs. Yeah, Colston Loveland dropped a couple of balls that wasn't like him, but Iowa was giving them a look and an intensity they hadn't seen. That defense was better than Ohio State's defense. JSE says, I thought that 2 Orgy isn't a secret anymore. Let him throw 1-2. Antoine says, I would just be happy if they put Orgy in a Wildcat package and they can put him in a simple run pass option package to let him read the linebackers and throw slant routes or just take off and run, whichever. JSE says exactly. And he says, Washington, I think this means Washington hasn't faced a real defense this year. Texas did with Bama, though. Yeah, so now the question is, who are the other 2 teams going to be? Michigan is in. Washington is in. But who will the other 2 teams be? Will it be 2 SEC teams? Will it be Bama? Will it be Georgia? Will it be Texas? Will it be Florida State? Let's see what let's see what the college football playoff comes up with tomorrow. Someone's going to be disappointed. Someone's going to get their feelings hurt. Someone is going to be angry tomorrow. But the good news is Ohio State won't be in this year. So the post-game celebration, one of the questions was, how's that Tony Petitti, Jim Harbaugh trophy exchange going to be? So Coach Harbaugh had Zach Zinter accept the trophy. Please smash that like button if you haven't. The likes are free, and those help me out, and those help the channel out quite a bit. So Carson Barnhart, I'm sorry, not Carson Barnhart, Zach Zinter, after having his operation, he was there at the game on the sidelines. So he accepted the trophy from the Big Ten commissioner. And Mikey Sanger still received the most valuable player trophy from, who was that? Who was that from Ohio State? Let me look it up. It wasn't Archie Griffin. It was that Gene Smith? Geez, where is it? Yeah, it was Archie Griffin. Yeah, Mike received the most valuable player award from Archie Griffin. Good old Archie. So everyone, that's it. So it's on to the playoff. Let's take a look tomorrow and see who the 4 teams are, or should I say who the other 2 teams are, because we know that Michigan is in and Washington is in. So right now it's 1:35 here on the East Coast. So I am done. 'Twas the night of the Big Ten Championship game, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The Victors says, number 1, baby, go blue, 3-peat. And he says, glad Jimmy did that. That was great. Yeah, so guys, yeah, I'm gonna attempt to do a better job this year of once the playoff is set. I'm gonna attempt to do a better job this year of covering, because we have a whole month before the playoff starts. So I'm gonna attempt to do a better job creating content between now and the playoff. I'm not gonna wait until the week of, like I did last year, to make content for the playoff. And the big question is, can Coach Harbaugh and his staff do it? Can they win their semifinal matchup this year and advance to the final game? The last 2 years, we were overmatched against Georgia. I think everybody knows that. Last year, they got too cute, and they probably underestimated TCU, and they didn't make the adjustments early enough against TCU. But this year, they've got the experience. So can Jim win a semifinal game and then get to the final game? A lot of that's going to depend upon their approach as a coaching staff. It's going to depend upon how they prepare the team, and it's going to depend upon them not getting too cute in that game and then making adjustments. All the players should be mostly healthy at that point. So, yeah, can they win that first game this season? And then who is the opponent going to be? So look out for content between now and the playoff. And I don't know if Johnny made his post-game video tonight. If he didn't, then even if he did, he'll probably do a live stream tomorrow. I'm going to try to jump on his live stream tomorrow because I missed last week's. But it'll be interesting to see what he has to say about tonight's game. It wasn't pretty, but they got the W. And I think there may have been some letdown after last week's game. I mean, last year against Purdue, it wasn't a pretty Big Ten championship game against Purdue last year as well. And the year before that, when they beat Iowa, when Cade was the quarterback, it wasn't a pretty game, and they didn't pull away until the end. But whoever their semifinal round opponent is, the team is going to need more offense. No doubt about that. They're going to need more offense. This type of performance will not cut it against whomever they open up against in the playoff. All right, everyone, that's all I've got. Let me know. Thank you to those of you who commented here tonight at 1:30 a.m. in the morning. For those of you who watch on the playback, let me know what you think and what your thoughts on the game were. Let me know what those are in the comment section. And also, what do you expect to see tomorrow? I think they'll probably release the 4 teams in the afternoon, Eastern time. But if you watch this before then, let me know what you think about who the other 2 teams are going to be. All right. All right, everyone, I'm going to bed. So this is Big Discussion 76 Sports. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar. Please like, share, and subscribe if you see fit. Shout out to Bo Lytle. Respect is earned. If you want to donate something to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal are below in the description box. You can also leave a super thanks. And please consider joining my newsletter. That link is in the description box below. So everyone, let's look out for the seedings tomorrow. Let's see who's in and who's out. All right. So the good news is Michigan is in. So, all right, everyone, go blue. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you after they announce the teams tomorrow. So have a good night, and I will talk to you again soon. Go blue. Who's got it better than us? It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. Good night. Bye-bye.